Al, it is time once again to delve into the world of the Otome.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this game came out this year, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
April the 4th of 2024. If I had scrolled up, I would have known. So that's what scrolling up gets you. Yes, we got more Otome here on the docket for you.
Yeah, taking
So,
you to hell.
oh no.
Oh, no.
So yeah, let's dive into that here this week on the season anime checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc, Al, and Lady
Hello.
This is episode 384, and we are talking about. Let's get the title of this game correct. Tengoku Struggle Strayside.
Mm-hmm. That's the name.
I did it.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Al, these boys are hellish.
They are hellish. You are correct. Nailed it.
So yeah, that's the thing. These boys are from hell,
Yes.
and you're gonna date some hell boys, but not that hell
Yeah.
boy.
Not that Hellboy.
Different hell boys.
Worth mentioning that this is the same team that did Olympia Soares. So it's got
Ah.
the same director, writer, and artist.
Well, that is some very good pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, if you've been with us for a while, you would know that Olympia Soiree is, of course, the number 8
Mm-hmm.
Otome game on Owl's official ranking of Otome.
Mm-hmm.
So, some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, no kidding. Um, but yeah, so the whole gist of this game is that there's basically been a breach in hell and some prisoners have escaped. And the way that hell works, it's a sentence I've never thought I'd say. The way that hell works is that there are different types of hell depending on like what you did as a sin. So like the crushing hell is for people who did like scandalous sex acts, I guess. Um there's like a rope hell and I forget what the rope is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Burning rope, something like that. It's for stealing. But there are different levels of hell and there are some escapees that are pretty high profile escapees. You play as Rin Inma, who is the adopted daughter of the King of Hell, King Inma, and she is a provisional Hell Guardian. She just graduated top of her class as a Hell Guardian. Congratulations. But
Woo!
she is a transient, which means that she is in hell, but she doesn't remember anything about her past. And that also means that she could theoretically disappear at any moment because she doesn't have any strong attachments. So, King Inma is like, hey, Rin, I'm going to send you up to the human realm. And I want you to bring back those prisoners, and in exchange, I'll give you like a certificate that keeps your soul intact. You'll stay, you're not going to disappear, all good. But you're going with a team. And so then you get a CG of four dudes walking into the king's chamber, and one of them has a boob window,
How'd you
like a
do?
hella boob window. And King of Hell's like, here you go. Here are some dudes. You're gonna live in a house with them, and y'all are gonna try and bring these escapees back. And so that's the general setup of how this Otome works. Um, I will say that there are actually um five dateable dudes, not four, even though four is who comes with you. Um, because you also get to date a human named Jack.
Excuse me. Please pronounce his name right.
Jack.
Check. Uh, there's a reason for that. The way it is spelled is capital J, lowercase a, lowercase c, and then capital K. Jack.
for for no good reason. Jack.
For style and
Um,
swag, of course.
apparently, yeah. He's a singer-songwriter and a popular feller in the human realm. Um, but yeah, so you get up there. There is basically the king's right-hand man who is named Ono no Takamura, I think is the name. But they all call him the corporate slave, so I always just call him the corporate slave too. Um, like they literally never call him his name. It's always the corporate slave. Um, but yeah, so he helps out. He gives you advice. He's also a little bag. Like he's kind of scummy and not scummy in like the like he's scummy in the sense that like he's doing something on the side that he shouldn't be doing, but like he's working for the King of Hell, so it doesn't really matter. He's got secrets. He also has like these two little hell demons that float around him and just make sounds. Because why not? So yeah, like the first several chapters of this are just like trying to figure out how do we all live together and how do we set up a plan to get these guys back and like, hey, do you want to have a barbecue? Let's have a barbecue. Um, they also established that the corporate slave man puts in like an onsen in your house. But it's made with like water from hell, so it can heal people from hell if they get injured. But it's also just an excuse to have like all these hot anime men mostly naked in several scenes, in my opinion.
Of course. That's how it's got to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So like everybody hates each other. Well, I say everybody hates each other. The dudes are all fine with each other. They're cool. But Ren hates them and they hate her theoretically. Um, to begin with. Although there's some inkling that one of them maybe doesn't hate her. Because everybody's all like, "Grr, this sucks. We have to work together." And she like goes and slams herself in her room and is like, "I'm never talking to any of them again." But then somebody leaves her some sandwiches and it's like, "You need to eat." But it's a mystery who left her the sandwiches. Whoa. Also she's a Hellcat named Tama or Tamao, however you want to call it. He goes by both. He's pretty cool. He's a big cat. He got hit by a
Okay.
car and went to hell. What do you think a cat does to get sent to hell? Do all cats go to hell?
Just be a cat.
Just be, that's what I'm wondering. Like, did they just by nature of being a cat go straight to hell? Hmm. Um, all right. Quiz time without looking. Um, we have oh shit, I'm gonna say his name wrong. Kikanosuke? Uga? Auga.
Ooga.
He's like the gray-haired guy,
Ooga
like
booga.
ashy blonde. Um, what hell do you what sin do you think he did?
He was a gamer. He said some gamer words online.
He is a gamer, that is true, but that's not his sin. He did that afterwards. But it should be a sin, really.
He got canceled online. And he went to hell. Filming someone in the bathroom.
He did what to someone in the bathroom?
Film someone in the bathroom.
Oh my God. Um, okay. I'm gonna help you out a little bit here.
Oh, thanks.
Um, He died May 20th, 1796.
I was alive then.
He's in the Black Rope Hell. Any ideas?
He spread the plague.
He 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 got caught for thievery,
Oh,
for stealing.
that's what a gamer.
Uh-huh. All right. Next guy, Yona. Yona Murakami. Date of death, October 24th, 1600. He's the red hair guy. What do you think he did? He's
Uh,
in the revival hell.
he stole a lady
He stole a lady?
from someone.
No.
He plotted a coup. I'm trying to think of like old
I
timey
mean, you're not wrong.
crimes.
No, I mean, you're not wrong on that, but murder.
See, murder.
Murder. Okay, so now we're going to the long-haired rat tail man. Um, his name is Sharaku Toshisai.
He had a rat
Uh,
tail. They had to kill him. Put him down for having a rat
he's in the
tail.
he's in the crushing hell. He died August 31st, 1797.
Did he also steal something?
No.
Did he old timey crimes, old timey crimes, old timey crimes. Ooh. He was a snake oil salesman.
Murder and perverse acts.
Well, there. Yep, that's it.
Murder and perverse acts. And then we have Goemon, who is our fabulous boob window fella.
He humped the ground too much.
He died August 24th, 1594. He's in eternal hell.
Uh, he made too many games that starred himself.
Um, I have a list for you of his. You ready?
What? All right.
Murder, thievery, perverse acts, inebriation, perjury, evil ways, disgracing religion, and parenticide.
The is parenticide?
Killing your parents.
Oh, parenticide, not parentha.
Parent
I was like, what is
no.
what is he gonna do with parentheses? Is he killing them off?
It's killing the parentheses. Um, and then Jack is a mystery. We'll talk about Jack
Excuse
when
me.
I talk
Excuse
about
me.
Jack. Jack.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's the backstory of these fellers, which all those will get context. Um, and I'm gonna say like in a non-spoilery way. One of the things that I
Nolan.
really like about non-spoilery way, is I like that this game basically thinks of like gray areas of sin, but it also thinks of like redemption and atonement rather than like punishment constantly. I say that as if these dudes haven't been punished for like centuries in hell. But like one of the big themes here is like atonement and how there are gray areas with sin. Apparently it's like pretty rooted in like Buddhism, which makes sense. But from a like Western perspective, it's like, oh, huh, that's interesting and unusual. So I liked that. Um, there is also a non-spoilery negative that I'm going to give you. There are a lot of typos.
Womp womp.
A lot of typos.
That's why they couldn't make a website.
I guess not. I mean, like there were so many typos. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer because like this game's pretty good. But some of the typos were pretty distracting. And I was like, oh, that's not supposed to say that. That's okay, I guess.
Let me see here real quick.
Okay.
So recent games published by Axis, which this is who published this game, would have been
Mm-hmm.
like Verche Evermore,
Mm-hmm.
Radiant Tail.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if there's anything else in here. Nor 9,
Mm-hmm.
Jack Jean.
Oh, I love that game.
Do you remember like there being a lot of typos in those, or was this kind of like a just like an exception to the rule? I mean, obviously, like typos and grammatical errors and
Mm-hmm.
smaller visual novels, smaller in the fact that like smaller
It happens.
releases and fan
There's a lot
bases.
of text, so it definitely happens.
Yeah.
But like there were a lot more that I was like, oh, this is noticeable.
Okay.
Um, so like that's a ding on it, but it also has some like neat stuff. Like you can adjust which character is on your home screen whenever you like go back to the main screen. And you can change like the background, you can change what outfit they're in. So that's kind of cool. You can change like their voice lines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I really do appreciate is that like the menu lines are all translated.
Oh, that's cool.
So you know what they're actually saying
Yeah,
because that
usually,
doesn't always
yeah,
happen.
I feel like most of the time that would just be like, oh, we're just gonna let them say their stuff, and then, good luck.
Good luck. Yeah. That's what normally happens. So it's like, oh, they're actually translated. That's cool. So I liked that quite a lot. Um, but yeah, what I'm a big fan. Um, as you are well aware, and some people may be well aware of, like found family type things.
Mm-hmm.
And Code Realize is one of my favorite Otome games, and that's a big thing there is that you feel like they all like get along and are friends, and it's not entirely about the romance. Like the romance is there, but it's not like the entire focus. And this game does the same thing. And I really, really like that. I appreciate that quite a bit. Um, and there's some interesting side characters that you have to deal with while you're playing this, and that's a lot of fun to see like what they're doing and like where their stories are going to lead. Um, so it's not just entirely focused on like whatever romance route you're on. So it's fun. Like you genuinely feel like they all get along and are friends, and I like that. I mean, if initially they all hate, like she hates them and they hate her, but they come around and it's good. It's good. Also, having the King of Hell go, "My sweetie," is very, very funny.
and
Very funny.
and also just thinking that that's Dio.
That's Dio. Um, and he will always correct her because Ren will go and talk to him, and he like won't actually speak to her unless she calls him Papa. And so like she'll just be chatting, which she doesn't have a voice, so it's weird because her mouth moves, but there's nothing coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That's strange. But she'll just like say sentences and ask questions and all that, and he's like, Papa, Papa, Papa. And then eventually she'll say Papa, and he's like, okay, now we can talk. Oh my God. It's so funny. It's a troll. Thanks, King of Hell. Um, but yeah, each character has like a section of the escaped hell people that they are really tied to, and so their story is gonna be pretty like intertwined with the escapee that they're dealing with. Um, and even then, like those characters have some really fun stories, and like finding out the reasonings for leaving and everything is pretty fun. I like. Anything else general I should talk about before I go into like spoilery zone?
No, I think you're good.
Okay. Spoilery zone.
Welcome to the spoiler zone.
Um, so I did like my routes were Kikanosuke, Yona, Sharku, Jack,
Check.
and then Goemon, which you can't do Jack and Goemon until you do the other ones. So
Right.
um, there is a set order by the game essentially, but the first three you can really do in whatever order you want. Um, Kikanosuke is a gamer.
Boo.
He's gamer. Um, but the prisoner that's tied to him is that his little sister escaped and is basically oh, one thing I should have mentioned is that there's this app that they're all kind of trying to deal with because the app is supposed to promise salvation to go to heaven or the like heavenly realm, whatever. Um, like no matter what, as long as you like pay and do like little mini quests and things with the app.
That sounds like a scam.
It is a scam. So that's gonna be in every single route they're dealing with that app. And so the little sister is basically like being a middle school idol, but is trying to um sell this app. And she keeps telling you like, well, the reason that I escaped was because I wanted to wear a cute school uniform. That's it. That's my reasoning. That's all I wanted. And she really takes to the protagonist because the protagonist tells her that she likes her fingernails. Um, but yeah, that's his whole thing is like I wanna help my sister. And sister is being bad. You also find out that hey, he can turn into a wolf.
Awoo.
Ow. Um so sometimes when he's talking to you, he gets excited and he gets little wolfy ears and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cute." Um but the gist of like his backstory and what was happening is that hey, you ready for some dark?
No.
Oh, well, okay. Too bad. So he could turn into a wolf, right?
Seems like it,
His
yeah.
his sister can turn into a cat. Um, and the village that they were in, what did I say, 1700s, 1600s, I forget. Um, that's not normal. They don't like that. And so they kill their parents and basically like make the parents walk off of a cliff. And then they imprison the two kids and tell them that like when she comes of age that they're going to breed them.
Ooh.
Yep. To try and see like what kind of critter comes from that. And at one point Yona says something about like, oh God, well, I guess it's a good thing they had to die before you had to do your sister. It's like, Yona, please. I mean, he's right, but like Yona. Um, but like that's a big part of his thing. And so they had planned an escape and it failed. And sister ended up getting shot and he thought that she was dead, so he kept going and ran away and ended up taking refuge in a temple and was basically like stealing all the offerings from the temple, which is why he went to the stealing hill. Um, and then he eventually heard about like a bigger town in Japan and thought that he could go there and maybe people wouldn't think he was so weird because his hair color is like the ashy color, which is not normal in 1700 Japan. So everybody thought he was a demon. And how did he die? He saw a child in a river
And died.
and well, he wanted to save the kid, and so he turned into his dog form, but he ended up drowning. And like one of the things that he wonders is, did he actually save the kid? Um, which he ends up talking to a gal during his route, and she eventually says like, "Oh yeah, my family always says respect dogs, and that I found this dog that was being abused. So I'm going to take it in, and I'm going to adopt it, and I'm going to love it forever." Um, and Kikanosuke is like, "Well, why did your family say that?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, one of my ancestors was apparently saved by a really big dog when it fell in a river nearby." And he's like, "Oh, I did save the kid,
I did
and
it.
the kid had kids. This is the best. It's okay that I died."
This family respects
Um,
me.
so yeah, a lot of his route is like doing cute stuff, like playing video games with him, and he ends up working at like a haunted attraction at one point, playing like a spirit. You get to listen to music with him, but a lot of what you're dealing with is trying to figure out like how do we save the sister? And also, how did the sister end up in hell? Because to his knowledge, she didn't do anything that would have made her go to hell before she died. Turns out she didn't actually die when he thought she did. And so she just like cursed the Buddha a lot and then ate all the dudes that tried to kill her.
Nom, 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 nom.
She went into her cat form and was like, nom, 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 nom. Um, so yeah, oops. But he ends up being able to convince the sister with the help of the protag. Um, because the sister ends up basically going on a rampage. And there's another character that I have not mentioned whose name is Shin Fujimori. Yes, Shin Fujimori. He is a little nerd who runs around, and he's a big fan of her, but is like too shy to say it and all. And everybody is a big fan of this kid in the house. And turns out that like he has a big old crush on this sister. And after sister attacks a bunch of dudes for like basically trying to buy her, which given her history was a little dicey. Um, she realizes like, oh, I don't want to be a monster, and I want to be okay. And Shin basically confesses that he's super duper in love with her, and she goes into like tsundere mode and it's like, it's not like I like you or anything, but like if you want to come see me in hell, like maybe you could. Maybe. Or like if I come to the gate or something, I could like say hi, but I don't want to see you or anything. It's like, okay, okay. Um, Also every single character that you date, you bone. Like very, very, very explicitly you bone. Like it's not explicit in the sense that like you know the you don't know the mechanics of it, but like things are happening. They're very clear that things are happening. Every single one. It's like, okay, well. Um, this dude was my least favorite. Like I still liked him, but one, he was a baby. He was 17. I was like, hey, you're a child. You're an infant. Um, but his was like the least interesting overall, I think.
Mhm.
But that's not to say it was bad. I liked him. Also wears like weird overalls. Uh, and they each have like a title card. So whenever they like get into fights with people, they have like a their title card versus whoever they're fighting. His title card is the Benton Biting Kid, which I don't know what that means, but that's him. Um, so then Yona. I dated Yona. He's the red hair man, which I thought something that was really cool about this game is that the two characters that have like unusual hair colors, they explain them. They usually don't do that. They're just like, whatever, like this guy has purple hair, why not?
He's an anime
But
boy.
yeah, sure. Like, but Kikanosuke, he has like the ashy color hair, and that's tied to him being a wolf. And then Yona has the red hair and some freckles, and that's tied to him having a parent from the West, which again is kind of unusual for this time period. But he everybody around him thought he was a demon, and he wasn't allowed to be like a real part of his family because he had red hair, and they associated that with demons. Um, but I mentioned to you that he went to the hell for murder. And that's because he's like a samurai pirate.
Yarr.
Yar. Which I didn't know samurai pirates were really a thing, but I guess it makes sense that like Japan is an island and you would have samurai
Arr.
who also would sail. Like it makes sense. I just didn't ever really think about it. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Um, he takes the longest to come around, I think. He's pretty tsundere, but he's also like kind of sexist at first, I think. He's a little he doesn't really know about like modern times and what women can do.
Mm-hmm.
He's like women can't do all these things. This is bad. Um but he eventually figures out like, oh hey, she's pretty powerful. Um he's also like super soft dude who like loves to read books and is very against ebooks. He's like, no, I need paper books. I need to read the paper books. He likes samurai movies and he likes oranges. And he also likes bath salts. She gives him bath salts that make his bath water turn into like what looks like an ocean. He like comes out basically naked and is like, my bath water's an ocean. This is amazing. This is the best thing ever. She's like, bro, clothes. Come on. Come on. He's like, but my bath water's an ocean. And then he passes out because he stays in the bath too long. And it's too hot for him because he liked the ocean water. It's really cute.
No thoughts, head empty.
Um, he is kind of a himbo. I'm not even gonna lie with like he's pretty himbo-y. Um, yeah, he didn't have like a super terrible story, I guess. Like I said, he was ostracized as a kid because of the red hair and the freckles. I guess he has blue eyes too. That's kind of unusual for Japan. Um, but you had two villains on the side. I mentioned Sansaburo before, I think. He's a samurai, and then Okuni is his wife, and they're pretty cool. I like them. They're actually some of my favorite of the like escaped villains. Because really all they want is to be together. Um, and again, some of the gray area things that I brought up, like one of the reasons why this is like they even tried to escape was because they weren't able to be together in hell because they went to different hells for different crimes, and that they just wanted to be together and be in love and be around each other. I was like, oh, it's kind of sweet. It's- One of you went to hell for killing, and one of you went to hell for boning, but like, you know, um, but their whole thing is that like she was famous for this myth about like the man who is your first will carry you across the river in hell. Um, and she clarifies to Ren, like, he wasn't actually my first. He was just my true love. Like I was prostituted out, and I definitely did not have him as my first, but he was the one that I fell in love with, and he was the one that respected me, and he's the one that carried me across. It's like, oh, it's cute. I mean, sorry about the whole prostitution thing, but like, it's cute that you found love. Yay, yay,
Yay.
yay. But yeah, a lot of his is like trying to accept that he's falling for her and trying to really come to terms with like what it means to be in love, I guess. And he also very much distrusts women because how he died is that women came into a camp when they were about to stage a coup, which is what you said. Um, and turns out they were from the other side, that they got them super, super drunk, and then he got his head cut off by the enemy. Ah, rip. Um, I also haven't mentioned this, but like there are bad ends in the game, but they're kind of like mild bad ends in that, like, yeah, everybody dies, but then you also get like a side story where everybody's like reincarnated and they meet again, just under different circumstances. And so they're not like horrible bad. And I kind of liked that, that like even though you didn't succeed in this mission, like you still are tied together. Although his is weird because he comes back and he doesn't have red hair anymore. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Who are you?
Get your hair back.
Who are you? Ah. Um, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Um, and then I dated with Sharku. He looks like a gambling man. Um, dude likes to clean a lot. Dude is also very bad with money. He spends many, many monies on a vacuum cleaner. Um, he was like everybody knows him as an artist. Like I said, he went to hell for perverse acts. Oops. So he's just constantly throwing down innuendos and asking if you want to and all that kind of fun stuff, as you do. Um, but his route was a lot of running away. Like he kept running away from her. Like they would get closer and then he'd run and then he'd get closer and then he'd run and he'd get closer, then he'd run. I'm like, stop running. Stop it. And yet he kept doing it. No. Um, oh, I forgot to mention that Yona's title card was the Tyrannical Old Navy, which is what I mentioned earlier, and you're like, huh? Because Tyrannical Old Navy is pretty funny. Um, but yeah, you find out like Sharku's dad was a samurai, and he ended up having to commit the stomach cutting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and his mom was like, "Oh no, this is the worst," and so he ended up basically being sold into prostitution. And very explicitly says cater to both men and women, but um, like rich ladies of the town were really into him. And he has to fight against one of the toughest dudes, like one of the toughest enemies of this. His name is Asamon, and he's brutal. He's an intense swordsman who can like summon swords and just throw them at you, basically. And so you keep losing at these fights because, like I said, he keeps running, so you can't keep this blood bond up that you need um to win. And finally, corporate slave man's like, dude, if you try again, like you're just gonna disappear. You're not gonna make it. It's gonna suck for you. Um, so at that point he stops running and they actually have a conversation because talking is pretty cool when you're in love with somebody. Um, and I realize I haven't mentioned a whole thing where she has they all have these like desires, which is like special abilities, but they have seals on their bodies that as they like build up these blood bonds with the protagonist, they end up being in like super duper pain and she has to heal them. Her desire, conveniently enough, is on her tongue. Ah! So she has to like kiss wherever their desire is. His is on his eye.
What?
Not his like eye itself, not like a bald eyeball, but like his eyelid.
Still.
Yeah, so she has to like make out with his eyeball basically. Jonas is on his chest. And Kikanosuke is on his forehead. I'll get to the rest of them later. Um, but yeah, once he finally stops running and she's able to like heal his desire situation and build up their blood bond, he barely wins, but he does win. Um, he also takes her on like a high school uniform date at one point where like they both have to wear uniforms and he like takes her to a theme park and then takes her to an arcade and they take pictures and um it's cute, but then it's also the point where she realizes like, oh, he's 18. Because she always thought that he was one of the older ones because of how he acts, but nope, he's 18. She's 19. He's like, I'm I am baby compared to you. And she's like, oh no. Oh no. Um, one of the reasons why he's so salty with Asamon and why he's his enemy is because he was the one that beheaded him. Because he ended up killing 13 prostitutes. Sharaku did. But he explains that the situation was that these were women who were basically like begging for death. Like, I think I sent you the screenshot that there were like botched abortions and diseases and negative things that happen in brothels
Hmm.
um that were making their lives miserable. So like he basically put them out of their misery, but um yeah, you can't kill 13 people and get away with it, I guess. So he got beheaded. Ripperoni and pepperoni. God, I feel bad that I just ended that sentence with ripperoni and pepperoni.
No, that's fair.
Anyway, you want to talk about Jack?
Jack.
Jack. Jack.
Jack.
He's a who man. He's a who
Oh
man. He's
man.
an influencer and a musician. And he's a weirdo. So he's on the villain side. He's working with the escapees. And Protag's like, but what if I get close to him? And then we can try and see, like, we can, you know, find out what's going on there. Um, I think I liked his route not so much because of the plot, but because he's a weirdo. He's such a weird dude, and I'm like, I kind of dig it, man. Meanwhile, like the other dudes are so mad because you're like hanging out with Jack, and they're like, "What about us? Hello, us?" And so, like they at one point hijack a date that you're on with him where like Yona ends up like throwing water on them and she trips and then like Jack catches her and then somebody takes a picture and oh no, it's on social media and whoa, Jack has a girlfriend. And Yona's like, oh, that's not what I intended to happen. Okay, then. Oops, magoops. Um, you also find out that like he's a big tea fan. He likes to make tea, does tea ceremonies and stuff. So that's fancy. Um, what do you think the twist is with Jack? Because I will tell you, he's obsessed with hell.
He's not actually an influencer.
He is an influencer. That part is correct.
He's an angel.
He's not an angel.
He's Mr. Hell.
Mr. Hell. Um, he can't die. He wants to die. Um, he actually died, quote unquote, March 18th, 1593. And he was taken out by samurai pirates. Oh my God. And he holds a grudge against Goemon because the reason why his family was fleeing from where they were was because Goemon stole all their stuff and they had to go away. He was sad. So he blames Goemon for his death. Um, so why can he not die, even though it says he died? Well, what happened is that you are always like ushered into the afterlife of hell, like by somebody from hell. And Takamura, the corporate slave, was the one who tried to usher him into the next hell life, I guess. And Jack said no and tried to kill him. And so corporate slave man's basically like, all right, well, if you want to live so long, like if you want to live so bad, we'll just live forever. Have fun, kid. Um, and like brands him with a thing that says stupid on his arm. Just kind of funny.
Got him.
Got him. And then every year on the anniversary of his death, he dies like a really horrible death and is always revived. And he's like, this has been happening since like the 1600s, every single time. I've tried every way to try and die, and I just can't do it. I can't die. I just want to go to hell and be done. Um, and like as soon as he explains this to everybody, like, oh, hey, I tried to kill the corporate slave to get out of going to hell. They're like, oh, like, dude, no. Why did you think you could do that? That dude's super overpowered. Do you know what you're doing? Like, no. So then all the dudes start liking him because they're like, we sympathize with you because that dude's also a butthole to us. So like, you're one of the team now, man. So he starts living with you after he gets stabbed a lot um by a side character, and they think that he died. Oops. Now he lives with you, and he cleans a lot, and he wants to have barbecue. He gets a mug that matches everybody else's mugs. Um, there's this like side character who is like the villain, but he's not really. He's tied to the other guys, but he's like a Power Ranger. I don't know, he's weird. He's basically just jealous of Jack. Which by the way, Jack's real name not as cool as his stage name.
Real disappointing.
His Tetsunojo Imai is his actual name. Also is just again a freaking dork. Like at one point he's in the shower with the pro tag and she's like, you have really pretty eyes. They're all purple and nice. And he's like, oh God, my eye, it hurts. And he's like pulling a Steins Gate, and then he's like, oh yeah, they're actually just contacts. Like it's it's colored contacts. My eyes are just black. You want to see this? It's like, oh my God, this idiot, idiot. Um, but yeah, he was fun. I liked him. His route was a little weird, but he's a weirdo, and he ended up getting a really nice dynamic with the crew. Um, which then brings us to the oh wait, he's the wabi-sabi singer. I don't know what that means. Wabi-sabi, sorry, wabi-sabi singer. Still don't know what that means. Did I even tell you uh Sharku's the Ukiyo the killer? I don't know what that means either. Anyway, Goemon. He has a boob window.
Mm-hmm.
He's the canon. He's the canon love interest. And in the common routes, like he has extra scenes and like he basically blatantly says like right before you are able to select which dude you want to date, like how much he's in love with you. Hey, remember those sandwiches that you were given? It was going on. He doesn't actually hate you at all. He in fact is very much in love with you. Wow. Imagine that. Um, he is sweet as hell. Why is he so sweet? The whole time he's just like turbo sweetie pants. And yeah, this is also where you find out, oh hey, this is where Rin's backstory comes in. Wow. Um, because she finds out about like this girl that he was in love with that she was like I forget the name of the flowers, but basically like she hung out with these like nice smelling flowers and she was a blind girl who worked at the dango shop and he would always go every day and like buy them from her and talk to her and he was like super in love with this girl and she she told him, you know, hey, I can't be your wife. Like I'm blind and that's no bueno. Um, and wow, could you believe that that is who Rin was before she died? Can you believe that it's the same person?
I can't believe it.
And like Goemon keeps really dropping hints on her, like, yep, maybe it's you. I don't know. And she's so dumb for a lot of this route. She's like, well, I've heard that the person he's in love with lives in this town and you know, he's been around her and so, you know, I guess I should just give up on my feelings for him. It's like, you are a moron. And finally, after like a few he actually like has her make some like miso onigiri and he like starts crying, which is really cute. It's really sad. Um, finally he like brings her a bunch of the flowers. And she's like, well, you know, that sucks. You should give that to the girl do you actually care about. And he's like, are you dumb? Because like it's you. It's always been you. Like, what is wrong with you? How would you not realize it's you so far? She's like, huh? What do you mean it's me? I don't remember this. He's like, no, I've been trying to tell you this whole time. Like it's you, but I wanted you to remember it and you can't remember it, but now you're being weird about it. So I gotta tell you that it was you. It's you the whole time. I've been in love with you. She's like, oh. Oh.
Oh, okay.
No. Okay. Do you want to know the saddest thing about Goemon? So I mentioned in passing like the blood bonds that basically like every character, that's how you know that like you're doing all right on their route is that you build up their blood bond. And all the other characters you build it very, very slowly. With Goemon, you start at 90% out of 100. And so I was like, was this poor man at 90% in every other route that I didn't date him and it just broke his heart?
Oops.
Oh no,
Oops,
that's so
magoops.
sad. Oops, my goops. Um, but yeah, getting that last 10% like is the significant portion of the route, and that's a lot of her trying to break through and remember what happened. Um, do you want to know where his desire is?
His nose.
It's his boob window.
Oh, that makes sense.
She has to kiss his boob window. Um, but essentially he ends up like blaming himself because he doesn't know how she died, and he feels like it's his fault that she died. And he's not entirely wrong because she does die because of being associated with him, which if people aren't familiar, Goemon's whole like myth is that he like got boiled alive for being a thief, like a Robin Hood type thief. And so like that happens in this. And it's like, oh, okay. And she goes to the execution but can't watch it and she runs away. And you find out that Goemon's his best friend, um we'll use that term loosely. Uh what was his name? What was his name? Shoot. Um Shiroku. Um it's the dude who has the same voice actor as Link.
Huh?
Uh um he's basically mad that Goemon left because Goemon was trained as a ninja. They lived in the same village. Um, Goemon left because he didn't want to like be ordered to kill people, so um, he abandoned the village. He also saw that like his adoptive father and the leader of the village like ended up getting killed and saw like the horrible things that they did to his wife, and he's like, I don't want that to happen to anybody I'm in love with. That's gnarly. So, some trauma there. But then Shiroku basically like follows him around for the rest of his life and tries to act like he's a bro, but like messes with things. Um, because Rin in her past life like sees going on and falls in love with him like when he's doing like his little ninja thief stuff. But then she like goes out into the woods at one point and is gathering things, and Shiroku comes up and basically like beats her up and blinds her because he's like, well, she knew who you were, so I had to do that so she couldn't see. It's like, okay, weird logic for sure. Um, but he's also who killed her. So Goemon's like, hey, bro, not cool. Don't want you to do that. Um, but yeah, she ran away from his execution. Shiroku basically followed her and killed her and had his way with her corpse.
Ooh.
Yeah, just gnarly. Um, and is very upsetting to her because she's like, so my first time was after I died and also was not me being willing. Um, so Goemon ends up having like a, well, I'm gonna erase that kind of moment. Like, oh, okay, sure. You also find out that Shin, who I haven't talked a whole lot about except for in the first route, was one of his little friends, one of Goemon's little friends. And this is his reincarnation, and he was able to reincarnate because, hey, all those sins that Goemon supposedly did? He made an agreement with the king that he would take all the sins of all of the men that he worked with. So everything that they did, he accepted their sin as his, which is why he is in the eternal hell and has all these bad things. So like Shin was able to reincarnate because he had no bad things on his record because Goemon took him. It's a pretty bro move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a lot that happens here. You find out that this useless angel man who's been in all these routes, has basically like been in on this whole thing with the escapees. And the reason why is that he was supposed to be in the heavenly realm and that you like have everything stripped of you there. Like you have no desires, you have no memories, you have nothing. But he couldn't forget the girl that he was in love with before. And so he can't actually like talk to the Buddha and it makes him very sad. So he like cooperates with the escapees to try and like make everybody as pure as possible via the app to try and like make the Buddha want to talk to him, which is weird logic. Also, he gets sliced to pieces and obliterated.
Oops.
Yep. Um, and there ends up being like this really cool fight scene where like everybody is in on this. The four were four dudes basically. The three main love interests and then Jack. Uh, they end up like fighting some of the other escapees and like this really cool fight scene. Goemon is captured and is trying to um basically just survive through this whole situation because Ishiroku is torturing him. Um and Rin gets to him and they basically just like power couple it and she ends up triggering a game mode that was put into her phone by the King of Hell that's based on the video game that Kikanosuke plays. That there is this whole mechanic where you're given candy in the game and you can either bury the candy and it becomes a bomb or you can give candy to other people and it makes them invincible. And so um she ends up triggering this like party mode on her phone because the King of Hell is a weird troll. And it asks for a password. She's like, what? I don't have a password. And her phone, like the smart AI in her phone is basically like, I don't know, put in the first thing you can think of. And so she put in I heart hell, and that was the password. And then everybody gives the candy and she gets invincible and she's able to just like completely obliterate everybody and fight back with Goemon. I was like, hell yeah, good for you, gal. Woo! Um, and yeah, you end up running into this whole thing where like she now is no longer a transient because she remembers her past. She remembers that she was in love with Goemon. Her and Goemon are a thing now. And the King of Hell as a um reward, I guess, for everybody, lets them all stay in the same house, and basically patrol the human realm as a group to make sure that nothing wrong happens. So you continue your found family. You get to have nice barbecue with like 1,000,000 yen. Um, Jack just lives there now because why not? So it was like this big grand finale. It was super fun, and that's it. Ah,
Ah.
that's the gist of Tengoku Struggle. The Hellboys.
The Hellboys.
Uh, Also his little tagline is the heinous anti-hero. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Um, but yeah, this was good. I liked it a lot. I had a very good time with this game.
But how good was it?
Man, I've been looking at this Otome ranking today, trying to figure out like where is this gonna land?
Well, now you got to decide.
Is it time to
It
decide?
is time to decide. We have 38 games on the list. This will be game number 39.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to start?
I want to start at 10.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, number 10, we have Dairoku Agents of Sakuratani. Is it better or worse than that?
It is better.
Is it better than Hatoful Boyfriend?
It is better.
Is it better than the other game this team made, Olympia Soiree?
It is better.
Is it better than Jacques Jean?
I'd say it's better.
Is it better than Pio Fiore Faded Memories?
I mean,
Need I remind you, this is a game
you,
where you for the body of Christ.
you do, but that's one route.
True.
I mean, that's pretty funny, but
It is.
I'm. What were you gonna say?
I just said it is.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say it's better than Pio Fiore.
Is it better than Color Cross Malice?
I will say it is better than Collar Cross Malice.
Is it better than Bustafellows?
All right, here's my wall. Is it better than Busted Fellows? I'm gonna say it lands under Busted Fellows at number
The
5.
new number 5.
I loved this game. I loved all the characters. I loved all the side characters. I loved the plot. Like it was a lot of fun. Like one of the only real negatives was the typos. But it's very rare that I play an Otome game where I'm like, I legitimately like every single one of these dudes.
True.
I have no problem with any of you.
That is true.
And like Goemon may be one of my favorite Otome routes that I've done since like Code Realized.
That's saying something.
It's saying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I loved his route and I loved him as a character. He was so good.
Well, there you go. We have a new entry into the top 5. Our new number 5.
That's pretty
That
impressive.
is Tengoku Struggle Strayside.
Congratulations, Hellboys.
I would say that's a pretty good it's a pretty good start for 2024 Otome.
Yeah, no kidding. Like we've had Sympathy Kiss
Sympathy
and
Kiss is
then we
number
had this
17
one.
now. Now we have number 5.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
pretty good.
pretty
So
good.
like keep it up 2024. You're making up so far for the terribleness that was 2023.
True.
Good God.
But yeah, there you go. That is Tengoku Struggle Strayside, the new number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to that. And that's going to do it for us this week. So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can follow us on Blue Sky at seasonalanimecheckup.com. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And sports on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early. You can get our monthly bonus podcast that we do. We watched the third Indiana Jones film. That is
Last
up now on the
Crusade.
Patreon. You can listen to our thoughts about that.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our other bonus podcasts that we've done as well. Those are up on the Patreon you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Next week, we'll discuss something else.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.